All right, we on Blockchain Crypto Gang on Facebook. You could join this group. Right now we're at about 470. Yeah, so you could join the group, post up, share it, let people know. Check out some of the other articles and theories and things that people post up in regards to crypto and blockchain. I don't do too much micromanaging, so, be smart. If you listen to CryptTalk podcast or Blockchain Crypto Gang on YouTube, then you're probably going to be able to avoid any shenanigans, but, just always use your own discretion. Be smart. So, yeah, you could join Blockchain Crypto Gang on Facebook. And like I do, this is a news source for cryptocurrency and blockchain technology that you're not going to see on the mainstream. Now, I wrote this in 2019. I got about 4 stories I want to show you guys, go into. Like I said, mainstream is really not picking up on this. Mainstream will pick up on this more and more because now we have the ETFs. I'm pretty sure there'll be a crypto commercial or two this Super Bowl. And I believe Instagram and Facebook will be running ETF ads soon. All right. Nevertheless, let's get down to some business. Let's start off with the Ripple XRP news. Haven't heard too much from Ripple XRP. We know that, after they beat that lawsuit with the SEC, a lot of people are expecting that, yes, this bull run should be significant. I think most of the serious, reasonable price quotes for this bull run has been around the $6 to maybe $10 range XRP, which would be about over a 10x, which would be double the last all-time high, right? But now we're having this news that seems pretty bullish for me. It seems to me like if Ripple or if XRP goes to the moon, let's say it does get to $10, when we see all this news that's been going on globally with Ripple, you can't be too surprised. You can't say that you're too surprised that Ripple, who is making partnerships with banks all over, you have countries test piloting them for the creation of their CBDCs, their central bank digital currencies. And now they are starting to do what you would assume they would do once this SEC business was cleared, and that is expanding their brand in the U.S., as I believe 90% of their business currently is outside of the U.S. So Ripple, a prominent player in real-time gross settlement systems, has disclosed plans to extend its Ripple payment services within the United States, as announced by Senior Director W. Oliver Segovia. Despite a relatively subdued presence in the U.S. over the past 3 years, Ripple aims to introduce new product updates driven by its money transmitter licenses, encompassing a substantial portion of states. With 90%, where are we at, of its business conducted outside the United States, Ripple seeks to leverage its global standing by enhancing services in the U.S. market. That's huge because not only, they're already doing their business, 90% of it is outside the States. It's a big world out there. There's a lot of money out there, a lot of different countries, a lot of different global companies that should be able to sustain, and even without doing too much business in the U.S., you would think they still should be able to 10x this particular bull run. But a lot of other countries, a lot of other banks globally also take their cues or are heavily influenced by the U.S. So even if they're dealing with crypto, they're dealing with Ripple. Well, now with the United States banks and businesses doing the same, now it just makes it more seamless, and it just makes it gives it an extra boost. So the forthcoming product updates are anticipated to capitalize on Ripple's proficiency in blockchain technology and payments, offering streamlined cross-border transaction solutions within the U.S. So that means, remittance. It could be banks using it to transfer funds globally. I did a story on CryptTalk podcast months ago where the IMF was basically tapping Ripple. They actually had some type of a convention, And the IMF was basically asking Ripple to help come up with global crypto solutions, central bank digital currency, transfers for central banks. So it sounds like Ripple is being tapped, as it makes sense, right? It's built for scale. I think there's like over 100 billion XRPs in circulation. It's fast, it's cheap. They already have a lot of payment systems built on top of it. They have what a lot of crypto companies don't have, a lot of blockchains don't have, that I think would be able to be used as an XRP. I think Digibyte, the way it's built, it is a sound project. It's fast, it's cheap, it could be used. But what Ripple has is they have representatives to sell their products and services to financial institutions. Along with that, they also have and have had a customer service, a reach out. They're not so central, they're not so decentralized in operations that there's no true customer service. There's not someone that, because a lot of these big banks, if they're going to go with a blockchain for central bank digital currencies or for transferring wealth globally by the hundreds of millions or billions, they're going to want someone where if something goes wrong, they can contact. They're going to want a point of contact that would be customer service oriented. They want to know that they're going to be in good hands. And Ripple gives that impression. And now with, the SEC battle being over, we have a halving coming up, which is going to push the rest of the markets up. They have true utility. The old Swift messaging system is outdated. I mean, because think about it. Anytime you transfer money, like you transfer money from one account to another, one bank to another, all you're really doing is updating a ledger. It's not like someone's personally coming to pick that money up from one bank and then transport it to another. All they're doing is updating a ledger. But with the status quo, with the current system, now that process can take 3 to 5 business days when all they're doing is updating the ledger, the same thing that the blockchain does. All right, so there's that. To inaugurate this development, Ripple will host a meetup at its recently established San Francisco headquarters. So much for them moving out of the country. I think they're just basically, saying that if things didn't go good with the SEC lawsuit, and letting it be known that they do have that option. The event will feature a panel discussion led by Brendan Barry and Paga Saltani, head of product, with moderation by U.S. Managing Director Joni Tsai. Chief Technology Officer David Swartz will also contribute to the discussion on Ripple's blockchain and payments outlook. So this is going to be something that, and they've already applied for all these different licensing. So this means that, what we're seeing is in real time, we're getting a glimpse, because remember, this is not on the mainstream. It's not like you're going to see this on Business News Daily, or you're not going to see this on mainstream business platforms. But these are the things that are happening behind the scenes. So what we're seeing is a rampant increase of utility being demanded from the financial institutions, governments, large corporations. We're seeing traditional finance now mesh and start to utilize blockchain technology. By default, they're also going to start by doing that. They're also going to be utilizing cryptocurrencies, DeFi, NFTs, tokenization of real world assets, et cetera, et cetera. So aligned with this growth strategy, Ripple is actively recruiting across various global locations, including Bangalore, San Francisco, Toronto, and London. So that's what they're doing. So, all the bullish talk about Ripple, this makes me personally feel like I need to get some more Ripple in the bag. Right now, Ripple's at like 50 cents. The last all-time high that Ripple's hit was about $4. I think with the trillions that will probably pour into the cryptocurrency market within the next year, Ripple, I think, is at about 30 billion right now. Ripple can get to a few hundred billion. It could 10x easy and be $5 with this bull run. Doesn't mean it will stay there, but it could definitely get there because a lot of the banks and financial institutions globally, central bank digital currencies that are tapping the XRP ledger, meaning that they're going to have to hold XRP. They're going to be using the XRP for liquidity solutions, online liquidity solutions, I think it is. So that means they're going to have the XRP because that's what they're going to use to transfer value cheaper than you could transfer any other type of assets and faster. So if you're a bank and you have to move $1 billion from here to China, well, you can go through the Swift messaging system. It'll probably be expensive, take a long time, et cetera, et cetera. Or you can use Ripple or maybe some other cryptocurrency. But in this case, I'm going to say Ripple. It will be there instantly, and it will be there for a fraction of a penny. And then you can instantly convert it to the native currency. This is just where we're at with this now. The good thing is those of us who are tapped in, that are locked into this crypto, to this blockchain technology, understanding these developments right now, allow us to kind of foresee what the general public won't see until it's already here 100%. We've been seeing this actually build up to where we're at right now for years, with foresight of what logically is probably going to take place. Of course, we can't, we can only speculate where these crypto prices are going to go. But one thing that's not for speculation is the fact that we are seeing cryptocurrency and blockchain technology be integrated in traditional finance. I mean, we have Bitcoin being traded on Wall Street via ETFs. That alone that alone for like a lot of people, this is going over their heads. They're not even conceiving what is going on. Because like I said, if they're not tapped in to the crypto space, they're not going to see it. It's not going to click. Yes, they know that FedNow piloted last year, and they know that the money's going digital. They may know that central bank digital currencies are coming. There's been talk of them for a couple of years now. They understand that the millennials are more digital with it. They're using digital wallets anyway. Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, et cetera, and all these things, by the way, are also tapped into crypto. But those of us who, this gives us an opportunity. What we're witnessing is one of the biggest, probably the biggest wealth transfer in U.S. history, in global history, definitely within our lifetime. And unlike some of the other wealth transfers, gold rush, oil boom, you don't have to already be rich to get in to take advantage of it. The barrier of entry is pretty low. And unlike every other major technology ever brought to human existence, this is one that was not created by corporations or by governments. It was actually created for us, meaning retailers, meaning blue collar, meaning, everyday, whatever, middle class, just ordinary, everyday people, not wealthy people, working class people, can now leverage with technology what we couldn't before in order to build wealth. We could take advantage of some of the same tools, some of the same things that these banks and hedge funds do, we can do with DeFi. And we don't have to have 100 million to get in the game. All right. So Ripple Payments is a service that utilizes XRP as a bridge currency and provides benefits such as swift transaction settlements within seconds, cost effectiveness compared to traditional methods, transaction transparency via a public ledger, and security through consensus mechanisms. XRP to bridge currency. That means that these companies, these banks, these governments, whatever, if they're using the XRP or the Ripple payment service, they're going to use XRP as a bridge. So that means that they have to also acquire XRP. That just goes to the potential that the price, as these things build out. Now, remember, when news like this comes up, it doesn't mean like, oh, yeah, instantly we're going to see an effect on Ripple's price or XRP's price. But it does mean that we're seeing the foundation and the groundwork being laid for something huge to happen. So once you do start to see these prices pump, news like this and partnerships like this, developments like this are the reason. All right, let's keep it pushing. Let's get it to El Salvador to advance pro-Bitcoin agenda following Bukele's win. Now, I don't know how more they could advance, how much more pro-Bitcoin El Salvador could be. And if you've been paying attention, then you probably understand why I'm saying that, right? Okay, I just want to make sure that the volume was up. It's just hard to imagine. I mean, they're already doing mining through geothermal technology with volcanoes. They're building a Bitcoin city. They got Bitcoin bonds. They made it legal tender. You know what I mean? Like they have a Bitcoin beach in El Salvador. I don't know how much more pro Bitcoin you can get, but he plans on ramping it up. With over 87% of the vote, there's a good chance that Bukele will be reelected for a second term in El Salvador. 87%. That is a very high percentage for an election. And I would call cap on this. I would really think shenanigans would definitely have to be in play here for a high percentage like that. And it very well may be. However, I must say this to be fair. Living in Houston, I've met a lot of people from El Salvador. And every time I meet someone from El Salvador, I try to bring up the Bitcoin being legal tender and the president, Nayib Bukele. And I have to say, with 100% ratio, everyone that I've met from El Salvador, and I've met dozens of people from El Salvador, they all love President Bukele. They credit him for making El Salvador safer, for getting gangs out of there, for being revolutionary enough to make bold steps, to make radical changes for the good of the people there, the economy, et cetera, et cetera. They love him. They absolutely love this guy. So 87%, maybe. Who knows? Anyway, El Salvador is set to strengthen its support for Bitcoin following a landslide re-election victory for Nayib Bukele today. The El Salvador leader, known for his pro-cryptocurrency stance, seemingly secured a second term with a massive vote share, according to data from SID Gallup. So there's that. But let's see what he's going to be doing. Bukele claimed his victory in an X post soon after the presidential polls closed on Sundays, though no official announcement was made at the time of the decision. According to the numbers, we have won the presidential election with more than 85% of the votes and a minimum of 58 out of 60 deputies in the assembly. I don't know. Maybe those were like electoral type of thing. As long as there's no dramatic change in official results, Bukele's administration will continue for another 5 years, and there may be further regulatory developments surrounding Bitcoin. In an interview with Reuters last Wednesday, Vice President Felix Ulloa confirmed El Salvador's commitment to its Bitcoin policy. Despite the International Monetary Fund's recent appeal to revoke Bitcoin status as a legal tender, so the IMF has really been, they have not been happy ever since El Salvador decided to make Bitcoin legal tender. And it's because the IMF, they lend money to struggling countries with high interest. And if you can't pay the interest, of course, they get basically a piece of your country. So the idea that, El Salvador would start mining and holding large amounts of Bitcoin, making Bitcoin legal tender, doing radical things to enhance the economics of their country. Remember, one of the reasons why El Salvador decided to make Bitcoin legal tender was because of the remittance factor. 25% of their economy is based on remittance, meaning people from abroad sending money back. So when you're sending money back and you're using traditional means like Western Union or MoneyGram, you could pay up to 30-40%. So that's 30-40% that is going to go to Western Union, MoneyGram, or whatever service they're using that could be going directly into the economy. So now with Bitcoin being legal tender and they're hooked in with the Lightning Network, now people want to send money back. They could just send Bitcoin back, keep it all in the economy, because now that it's legal tender there, you can use it at any store. You can buy goods and services with Bitcoin. So now you have the economy flowing more. And then as the price goes up and the country's holding so much and they're making Bitcoin bonds and building schools and stuff based on the money that the Bitcoin is creating, and they're mining with geothermal technology. They have all these different outside of the box things that they're doing. They're taking advantage of Bitcoin and blockchain technology the same way we do. They're doing it on a macro level because they're a whole nation doing this. And now that is starting to spread around the region, as I said it would when he first announced that, he's going to make Bitcoin legal tender, because now we have a Honduras. I think it's Rotan, Honduras. Now they have made Bitcoin legal tender. You have Venezuela. You have other countries in the region now speaking the same way. You have places in Africa and I think East Asia and Europe and et cetera, all building to integrate and to utilize blockchain technology, rather it's for their central bank digital currencies, rather they're just making it more onboarding. They have ETFs. They have Bitcoin ETFs in other countries. Like, this is where we're going with it. So, the IMF, they kind of like to have golden handcuffs on you, if so to speak. They like to have that leverage. They like to have, and the ability to influence you because you're depending on them for money. And El Salvador's like, nah, we're good with that. That's why the IMF has a problem with it. So anyway, where are we at? So so they've been appealing, and I think some other, like, I forgot the name of the agency is, but it's some global credit agency. Like they give credit ratings to countries. They were saying, hey, we're going to give you a bad credit rating. You got to quit this Bitcoin stuff. Yes, because the Bitcoin is the freedom from the traditional finances. The same way that we see this, well, there's now government officials in different countries. I've shown you the prints of some country. I forgot which one. Other people within the United States government, other prime ministers, etc., that they look at this Bitcoin the way that we do, except for they're looking at it to integrate into their country. Remember, if you have a country that has a currency that is inflationary by 50, 100%, if you're losing 50% of your purchasing power every year due to hyperinflation, Bitcoin is not a gamble at that point. Bitcoin is not a gamble. If you're losing 50% of your purchasing power every year, Bitcoin has tripled almost this year, you're not really taking a gamble. You're thinking outside the box and you're utilizing this new technology the same way that we do. The reason why a lot of countries have a problem with it is because they have such a dominant role in, economically speaking, globally. They don't want to lose that control and that influence by having competing currencies. And if they don't figure out creative ways to work it into their society for them to benefit, they don't really want too much to do with it. Now it's trading on Wall Street, so now it's going to be more acceptable. A lot of different financial institutions are picking it up for different reasons, so it's becoming more acceptable now. So that's why we're going to start to see more and more countries utilize it, and already have been, for that matter. So anyway, since assuming office 2019, President Bukele has taken bold steps to redefine El Salvador's economy. His administration's most conspicuous move was granting Bitcoin legal tender status. Conspicuous move was, 2021, September 7th. They granted it legal tender status. Under Bukele's leadership, El Salvador has expanded Bitcoin endeavors with several initiatives, including the launch of the Chivo cryptocurrency wallet. They also did an airdrop for the citizens. The development of Bitcoin ATMs. I've been seeing those all over. The ambitious plans for Bitcoin for a Bitcoin city powered by geothermal energy harvested from the country's volcanoes. In line with these initiatives, Bukele's government recently announced its partnership with Tether to introduce the El Salvador Freedom Visa program. This program allows individuals to obtain Salvadorian citizenship by investing $1 million in USDT or BTC. So they're allowing people to get like instant citizenship. So they're trying to attract ballers. Crypto ballers they're trying to attract to their country, which makes sense because they don't have any capital gain taxes. You come up on this crypto game, they're not going to tax you for cashing out. They just want you to spend the money in the country, buy some real estate, patronize some businesses. That is going to, what they're doing is they're trying to attract innovation, development economically to their country. It's not a bad idea. Speaking, let's keep this on the international tip, international economics, BRICS. This is Watcher.guru. BRICS will end U.S. dollar dominance, says Wall Street. So Wall Street is saying BRICS may be a problem. BRICS, of course, as you know, is Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, which are, the collaboration to create another currency that will rival the dollar. In order not to use the U.S. dollar as reserve currency, that's a huge thing. If the dollar gets taken out of the reserve currency status, it's definitely going to probably drop, the value of the dollar, meaning that prices will go up. There's now competitors. Other countries are sick of the U.S. dollar being dominant. What does that mean for us in the United States? Well, it means that you better have some type of assets, because as the dollar goes down, assets go up. So you better have some type of assets to hedge against a dollar that could fall. What it really means is the things that we read about and take for granted with other countries. When we read about this country's currency being, losing value and our dollar is worth more than this dollar and blah, blah, blah. When we take these things for granted, now these things are coming here possibly. Because now you have other large economies that are no longer tied to the dollar. Everything's going digital. They can use cryptocurrency. They can create their own currency. They can they can collaborate with other countries as they're doing. So the BRICS bloc is looking to put an end to the U.S. dollar's global reserve currency status. BRICS wants to put their local currencies ahead of the U.S. dollar to settle cross-border transactions. The move will strengthen their native economies, making businesses thrive and massively save on the one-sided exchange rates. A stronger local currency will reflect positively on their respective GDPs, making their economies receive a boost in the arm. Not only is BRICS planning to ditch the U.S. dollar, they are convincing other countries to follow the same path. In the de-dollarization trend, or if the de-dollarization trend picks up steam, the U.S. dollar will be the hardest hit currency in the markets. Crazy. Now, but this is something that you have to really take into account. And thankfully, we're in a digital economic transition right now. Yes, the dollar bill is probably going to be phased out within 10 years in lieu of a central bank digital currency. It's all going to be digital. I've shown you with the last story how many banks are starting to close. 55 banks are closing within the next couple months, bank branches. 160 within the last year, bank branches have closed so they can offer online bank services. They don't want the brick and mortars. There's too much overhead. So if that's where we're going anyway, it would behoove you to know how to deal with blockchain technology before all of this happens. So not only so you can take advantage by possibly having investments, because you're not going to be able to get ahead without investing or increasing your income significantly every year. But because we're going blockchain based anyway, because cryptocurrencies are now accepted and can be used to purchase with millions of merchants globally through PayPal alone, yeah, it's going to behoove you. Because of DeFi, I've told you about DeFi, why I like DeFi. DeFi allows you to get paid or make money, passive income, do the same type of things that banks do. So because of all these things happening, this could almost be a blessing in disguise for those who are in the right position. For some people, it could be devastating. But if you're listening to this right now, and if you're tapped into crypto and you understand what Bitcoin is, this is why I say, before you even think, like if you're new to crypto, before you even think about trying to get that moonshot, that coin that's promised to go to the moon, just learn what Bitcoin is. I'm not even saying buy Bitcoin. I'm just saying just learn it. Learn the fundamentals of blockchain, of DeFi, of the peer-to-peer decentralized network that we call Bitcoin. As you learn that, you'll learn more about economics. And you'll be able to assess other cryptos. You'll start to see just what type of utility these blockchain companies are bringing forth. We're seeing this technology disrupt social media. Yeah, remember, let me show you this one more time for those who may not know. Yes, CryptTalk podcast. That was my YouTube channel up until a couple months ago when it was taken down by YouTube because it was flagged by some of the multi-level marketing schemes that I was exposing. But seeing that I backed my channel up with Odysee, which is a decentralized social media that runs with cryptocurrency and all that. And all of my videos have been archived. All of my videos that I made on CryptTalk podcast were pretty much cloned, and they're still available. As you can see, 2 months ago was the last video I did on blockchain crypto gang before I was taken down. But you can still go back to 2019. This is like some of the ways that we're seeing this disruptive, decentralized, blockchain-based technology in real life. I'm going live right now through the Brave browser, built by the same people who created the BAT token, which is an Ethereum token. And I got paid to download this browser and to use this browser. And just as a browser, you're not going to get rich using it, but just as a browser, it's better than Chrome, just as a browser. And then it has basically like a StreamYard built into it, a Zoom call function that can go live built into it. I'm going live right now just through my browser. Those are some of the things that, this real life technology is doing. I have Helium Mobile, which is a Solana project. I get paid like $3 a day just by keeping my location on so it can help map out, the grid, kind of like Google Maps or something. Then you have the hotspots that you can get paid for, all these different things that are going on, that are developing. It's called DePIN technology, is what it's called. It's when you use the actual real infrastructure, when these blockchains start tackling real infrastructural challenges. But anyway, there's that. Let's keep it going. So BRICS, yeah, man, BRICS is trying to do their thing. Other countries will probably fall through. I mean, just BRICS alone is, let's repeat it. Brazil, huge country, over 60 million people. Russia, huge country, huge economy, huge global influence in military. India, over 1 billion people there. China, probably second largest economy, over 1 billion people, military. South Africa, all kinds of resources. Nice medium-sized country in South Africa. Yeah, they're going to be able to compete. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I would say start learning this technology, because as this brick things pick up, I'm not going to get too much into that. But, it's just, the US dollar may not be the most dominant dollar for the next 20 years. And this is what Wall Street is saying. This isn't me saying this. This is Wall Street saying this. And let's get to the last subject, as we're talking about currencies and changes going on globally and traditionally, financially speaking. Bitcoin ETFs eating gold's lunch. As seen on a recent chart provided by JP Morgan, Bitcoin is already eating gold's lunch. Following the launch of the much anticipated spot Bitcoin ETFs, the chart shows a noticeable inflow into Bitcoin funds, while gold ETFs are experiencing a current outflow. So, I've had these conversations with people a lot. And I've seen people when we're speaking about, BRICS is going to be taking over the US dollar. What are you going to do? And, a lot of people's response is buy precious metals, get gold, get silver. I'm not saying that that's a bad idea. I think having tangible assets like gold and silver, there's nothing wrong with that at all. However, what I would say is this, and this doesn't even have anything to do with the fact that the Bitcoin ETFs, as you can see right here, are indeed surpassing gold ETFs. But even that to the side, right? Bitcoin has outperformed gold since it's been created. Bitcoin is more scarce than gold. Bitcoin over doubled, almost tripled in 2023. Gold went up by maybe 5%. Gold is not divisible, meaning you can't divide it for payment purposes. Where can you buy things with gold? Think about the things that you need on a day-to-day, the things you need and want to run your household. What can you get by using gold as a medium of exchange? Gold's not divisible. It's not portable. It's not liquid. So for practical purposes and performance over the past 14 years, Bitcoin is the new gold. And that's how these millennials are looking at it. And that is what the future looks like. It's dictating based upon the fact that these large corporations and financial institutions are tapping into Bitcoin. Whole countries are tapping into Bitcoin. Bitcoin is now being traded on Wall Street. And as you can see, it is eating gold's lunch. Now, overall, the market cap of gold is still larger than Bitcoin by far. How long will that last? We'll see. But the idea of $1 million Bitcoin comes from the fact that people do believe that people will start exiting gold in lieu of Bitcoin. Gold is not as scarce as we once thought it was. It could be mined quicker. So now the scarcity is not increasing. Bitcoin scarcity is built into the code that Bitcoin becomes more and more scarce. Less of it is being created. It's being bought at a rate faster than it's being created. That means that supply and demand would probably dictate that Bitcoin will continue to rise in price. But back to the story. So in a recent, we just showed you the chart. The chart shows a noticeable inflow into Bitcoin funds while gold ETFs are experiencing a current outflow. This trend indicates that investors are beginning to favor digital assets over traditional havens. Within a short period, Bitcoin ETFs have accumulated 27.5 billion, surpassing silver ETFs. Where are we at? Surpassing silver ETFs and aiming to beat the 90 billion invested in gold ETFs. After entering the market, Bitcoin ETFs are not only bringing a new form of investment to the forefront, but also directly jeopardizing gold's long-standing reputation as a store of value. And the graph by JP Morgan is highlighting this shift. Rich Dad Poor Dad author Kiyosaki finally explains why he owns Bitcoin. In a recent X post, let's just get to the post. Let's look at it. You can also follow on Twitter at CryptTalk. But here's the post. Now, he's somebody that a lot of people go to for financial advice or whatnot. And what he's saying is why I own Bitcoin. Bitcoin is protection against the theft of our wealth via our money. Fed Chairman Powell, Treasury Secretary Yellen, and Wall Street bankers steal our wealth via our money, specifically via inflation, taxation, and stock price manipulation. He's spitting bars. This is why I save and invest in Bitcoin, not stocks, bonds, and fake dollars. Well, I do have stocks. But but this is something that you see from a lot of people more and more, especially rich people, wealthy people. They do not hold dollars. They hold assets. In this case, he's saying he's holding Bitcoin. This is not as rare as it used to be. So, there's that. Let's wrap it up, B. So, yeah. He's favoring decentralized and inflation-resistant qualities of Bitcoin over traditional investment vehicles like equities, bonds, and fiat money. I'm not telling you how to invest, what to invest. I'm saying, me personally, I see this shift, and I have seen this shift, and I have seen the things that I've spoken about on CryptTalk podcast, things that I've read about in books like the Bitcoin Standard and Bitcoin for Black America and other books and articles and things that I've read, classes that I've actually paid to learn the fundamentals of blockchain and whatnot. And I could see this logically unfolding, why it's unfolding. It makes sense. I could see the utility of it. I could see the innovation that is going into this, the resistance and fear and competition that was felt by the banks for so long, that at first they ignored it, then they mocked it, then they fought it, and now they're adopting it. So at this time, we have an opportunity, and have been and will be for some time. We have an opportunity to be able to get ahead of the curve of what we can clearly see happen. This would be like if we had a 5 to 10 year window before the gold rush happened to be able to accumulate what we need to be able to take advantage and be part of that gold rush, not on the consumer side, but on the production and mining side. If we had the opportunity 10 years in advance to get equipment that we could mine gold, or we could scout parts of the country that we thought were rich in gold, if we had that head start because we seen it coming, what would you do? If you knew that there was a substance in the earth called oil that 10 or 20 years from now would make hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars, that would change the world. Because remember, the oil it's not just the money that was made with the oil. It innovated and changed and revolutionized travel, heating, all kinds of things. So if you were in a position that somehow you magically knew 10 years before that this particular industry would be created by this particular commodity, what would you do? That's where we're at right now. It's clear where this thing is going. It's clear where we're at with this. So what are you going to do? Anyway, blockchain crypto game. Like I said, you could join the Facebook group, post up in there, learn from there, follow on Twitter at CryptTalk. Let me get to there we go. There's blockchain crypto gang. You can join that. You can follow on Twitter at CryptTalk. You could also, if you wanted to ever just go back and check some of the archives that I've done over the past years here on Odysee, was where it's at right now, just so you can see if I've been accurate or not. I got receipts. You can check that out. And of course, you can like, subscribe, you can comment, you can share all that good stuff. You can hit me up at CryptTalkP@gmail.com. Thanks for watching, y'all. Peace.